close your
Hey, yo, what's good? Right now, you watching Casino is the Name. I got some questions from some of you guys about the types of career paths that you can go into with an accounting degree or finance degree. And it's really more about the sector or the section that you decide to go into. For instance, accounting is kind of divided into certain areas, right? Like for me, it was either go into tax or go into audit initially starting. But you have tax, you have audit, you have bookkeeping, you have consulting, you have assurance services. Those are pretty much the main areas that you would be looking to work in. And initially starting out, I would say that tax or either audit for new people coming out of school would go into either tax or audit. I believe that, this is my opinion, I believe that, this isn't law, but I believe that to be a CFO, it would be best to have an audit background. So if you plan on being a CFO at some point in your life, or that's one of your career aspirations, I would think that coming from an audit background would have you would better prepare you for that kind of role. And that's just based on my opinion. This is not necessarily on anybody else's idea or whatever. This is not even something that I heard. This is just my opinion. And that's just based on, once you're a CFO, you have to worry about, are you doing the right things legally? And you're signing off on a lot of things. You should know these policies. You should know these procedures. And secondly, if you wanted to go into consulting, then like financial consulting, I think that you should probably have a tax background, because in tax you get a chance to learn the best structure for tax ramifications and how to save money, what's a business expense, what things you can write off, how to structure the company. So I think that, if you were providing for some business professional or for some corporation or for some athlete or some rich person, the best way to structure their taxes, or if you were financially consulting those people as far as where they should put money to invest long term or something like that, or the best way to protect money over time from government taxes or something like that, then I think that you would probably be best served coming from a tax background. So anyway, let's go back. Okay, let's rewind. All right, so you just graduated from college. You have tax and you have audit. To me, those are the first two places that you would go through. And in tax, and you can stay in those areas for the remainder of your career. I'm just saying those to me would be the first places that an employer would hire you into. So you would go into so you go into audit, and in audit can be some of anything. I mean, as far as the work involves, you going in and looking at another. So let's say you have somebody who does this over here, and let's say that's I don't know, healthcare records, right? Let's say there's a healthcare record section and you're an auditor. So what you do is, they do the work primarily every day. All you do is you go in and make sure that they're doing the job based on the policies and procedures, and you're not actually connected to that job whatsoever. So you come in with an objective view on everything. So you're just looking for policies, you're just looking for procedures, trying to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do as far as that section is concerned. Now, it has nothing to do with money. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with money, but it can also deal with money, right? Like if you're looking at bank records or something like that, like if you're looking at a section that deals with money and pay and things like that, then yes, it can definitely deal with money. But being an auditor doesn't necessarily mean that you're necessarily always looking at money, but it can, of course. And so that's pretty much what an auditor does. And it could be some of anything. It could literally be anything. Like if there's a company that produces toothpicks, you could be sent in to audit the process of them producing the toothpick. It could be anything. So that's audit. Tax is pretty much what tax is. You're a tax professional, but it's way more in depth usually than what people realize. Tax rules can change from year to year, probably even more often than that. I don't know. I don't do tax, but tax it can be very elaborate. Most people thinking about, oh, well, I could do my own taxes because maybe you have very simple taxes, but there are billionaires who need their taxes done. There are corporations who earn millions and billions of dollars a year, and they need their taxes done. And they need to know the best, way to write off certain things. You're trying to save them money at the end of the day, because people can lose a lot of money when they get their taxes done inappropriately because they don't know what to and not to write off, what they can and cannot write off. And, you don't want to get in trouble. Most people are afraid of taxes, which is why a tax business is always a good business for an accountant. And why even people who aren't even accountants, say at one of the tax preparation places, most of those employees at those places aren't even accountants. But it's one of the things that people hate to do themselves. They're afraid, and because of that, there will always be a good opportunity to make some money working in tax. And because of those two reasons are the reasons why I say I believe tax professionals would be best working as financial advisors, and why I believe that an auditor would be, great as far as knowing policies and procedures to be a CFO. And the one area that I didn't really hit on the two areas was bookkeeping and assurance services. And I didn't really hit on bookkeeping because bookkeeping is usually, I know some people make some money doing it, but it's not usually, it's kind of usually just, I want to say kind of just, it still feels more so like an entry-level position, but I want to say it seems like most of the bookkeeping people I knew did it while they were interning in college, right? Like it gave them accounting experience. They got a chance to see things, journal entries and stuff like that. But it just does not, with computers and everything like that now, it's I don't know, it just seems so automated now that it doesn't seem like we got a whole lot of, use for it moving forward in the career or whatever. But assurance services is pretty much audit, right? This can be a very valuable or a very high earning career path. And basically assurance services is like, let's say you're on the Shark Tank, right? And you're saying, hey, my business earns $2 million a quarter and our profit is $1 million net. And I'm asking for $5 million for 10% stake or whatever like that. And somebody does this calculation and valuation and all that kind of stuff. And then they're like, well, does the company really make money? Does it, maybe I shouldn't bid, bid on joining the company as one of the sharks or whatever. So maybe I should, but I need to know, are these financial statements that you're presenting me accurate, right? Because you can show me any financial statements that you want, but I need to make sure that the company is doing the numbers that you're saying it's doing. So I'm going to send in somebody, an auditor basically, or an accountant who is not connected to the organization or even to myself necessarily. Like, I'm bringing them in, I'm going to hire them to come in, an outside organization, to look at your financials. And that's called assurance. It's kind of like insurance. And it's like multiple levels. So it's multiple costs, right? There's like a review, and there's like a more in-depth where they look at more things. And then there's like a really, really in-depth view on and so your company as the accountant, or you as the accountant, produce an assurance report. So basically you're saying you have reasonable assurance to believe that this is accurate information, and yay or nay that either the company is lying about their financials, or they're telling the truth about their financials. And so those are some of the main career paths that you would see when you graduate from college with your degree. And tax professionals, I've heard of tax people making $300 an hour. I've heard of auditors making private sector. I've heard of auditors making like $280,000 a year. I've heard of I know people who do bookkeeping services, and I guess just depends on what level they do it, because they can have their own business. And I guess if you can scale your business, you can make kind of whatever you want to make. And assurance services, I mean, you can make thousands of dollars in a week, $10,000 in a month, $10,000 in a week. It just depends on the level of insurance, the time invested that it's going to require, how elaborate the company is that you're looking into, and stuff like that. So assurance services can be very lucrative, but all aspects of accounting can be. So, and of course, financial advisors, I mean, you can make millions a year, you can make thousands, in a month, you can make 100,000 in a year. Like, it just depends on who you're financially advising, because if you're advising a billionaire, you probably stand to make $1 million or $2 million, you know what I'm saying? So at least, so I mean, it just depends. But yeah, anyway, these are some of the things that you can look forward to doing. Holla at me, man. Subscribe to my YouTube channel at King Casino is the name, and also hit me up on Instagram if you have any other questions at King Casino 1. That's the number 1, so KINGCASINO 1. And you could also email me at iamkingcasino@gmail.com. Yup, holla at your boy. Close your eyes.